If you've been waiting for leverage to come back into the Sarasota real estate market, this might be the most buyer-friendly environment we've seen in years. Inventory is higher, price cuts are common, homes are taking longer to sell, and here's the twist that most people don't expect. In many cases, new construction is beating resale homes, not because they're cheaper, but because builders are using aggressive rate buydowns that typically sellers simply can't compete with. So today I'm breaking down exactly what's happening across Sarasota and Manatee counties and what it really means if you're buying or selling here in 2026. One thing I always remind people is that national headlines don't buy homes. Local numbers do. So forget what's happening in California, Pennsylvania, New York, Ohio, Michigan, all these different states. None of that matters. What's happening there isn't exactly what's happening here on the Suncoast. So today we're going to look at inventory, prices, days on market, negotiation levels, mortgage rates, and why builders suddenly have a big advantage over resale sellers. Let's start with the most important metric, and that is months of supply. Now that measures how long it would take to sell every single home currently listed if nothing new came on the market. So traditionally 0 to 4 months, that's a seller's market. 4 to 6 months, that's a nice balanced market. And 6 months or more, that really favors buyers. So when we had that post-COVID run on homes, that supply was like 1 or 2 months supply. Okay, here are the numbers at the end of 2025, and here's where we've landed right now in 2026. For single family homes, Sarasota County is around 4.7 months. Manatee County is around 4.3 months, and that's a nice stable market. And we'll see where that trend is heading. But condos and townhomes, Sarasota is around 8.1 months and Manatee around 6.5 months. And that is straight up buyer market territory. And we're following the trend on that one as well. And I'm seeing it playing out every day with all my buyers. And I'm going to tell you some exact examples, sometimes a little alarming examples of what I'm seeing on the front lines in this market. You'll want to hear that here in a couple of minutes. Now let's talk pricing, because this is where expectations really need to be reset. Year-end medians showed single-family homes in the Sarasota market around $474,000 and in Manatee around $475,000, both slightly down from year over year. Condos and townhomes in Sarasota about $325,000 and Manatee about $310,000. So those declines were bigger, especially in Sarasota. So I hear this all the time from sellers. But my neighbor sold for blank in 2023, or I bought this house for more than that 2 years ago. And I have to say, yes, I understand. Back when buyers could borrow money at 3%. Same house, completely different monthly payment. And here's another major shift. Homes are taking a lot longer to sell. Across 2025, single family homes started at over 60 days, jumped up in some places to 120, and settled back down to just under or around 100. Condos closer to 3 months and then really ballooned in some areas and back down to just under 4, as we are really hyper local with condos. Now hard negotiations have absolutely returned. Typical sellers end up accepting around 92 to 95% of the list price on houses. Now it's closer to 90 to 92 on condos, and more than 20%, which I'm seeing way more than 20% of listings, recently had price reductions. And that's not panic. That's buyers having a lot of leverage again. Now let's talk about the biggest change I'm seeing day to day. Builders are beating resale homes. Not because the sticker price is always lower, but because of financing. So most large builders are offering temporary rate buydowns, permanent buydowns, closing costs, credits, and design incentives. I've had multiple builders send me 50% off design center options, 50% off this for a limited time. And that tells you a few things. So listen close. Builders can keep their list price and their appraisals a bit higher with these tactics. And it just goes to show you that where the big gains are, the big margins, and that's in the upgrades. Meanwhile, how does this factor into the total resale market in general? Well, a resale seller usually can't write a $40,000 check just to subsidize a buyer's mortgage. And here's the math that buyers are doing right now. Say a resale home at $500,000 with a current market rate versus a new build at $525,000. But say the builder buys the rate down 2 full points for the first year and maybe 1 point the second year and covers all closing costs. That new home often wins because the monthly payment is lower, even if the price is higher. And stay tuned, because in just a few weeks, I'm going to do a video on exactly what kinds of homes you can buy right here in Sarasota for $3,000 a month payment. So subscribe and hit that notification button for that one. Now, just last month, I had buyers that were convinced they couldn't afford new construction and they were going to buy a resale home. We looked at all the resale options. My lender got with them and broke down their monthly expenses. And then for fun, we just stopped at 3 different builders for a last-minute comparison. Sure, they knew they were going to get smitten with a brand new home, but also they thought it was just a pipe dream. Then we ran the numbers. The builders' incentives lowered their payments by several $100s a month. Same budget, brand new house. That's why resale sellers suddenly feel competition that they didn't have 2 years ago. Mortgage rates are still elevated compared to pandemic lows, but buyers have adjusted. Most economists expect that the Federal Reserve will stay pretty cautious in 2026, possibly trimming rates gradually if inflation continues to ease, but nobody credible is calling for a return to 3% mortgages, literally ever. So what matters more right now? Deal structure, rate buy downs, seller credits, builder incentives, creative financing. Waiting on rates alone can cost more than any negotiation does right now. So here's the honest breakdown. Condos and townhomes, yes, buyers have most of the leverage there. Single family homes, it depends on price point and the location. Basic real estate 101. That's always why location matters. Move-in ready homes under median priced still sell relatively quickly. And a great home priced correctly always does. But the big words here are priced correctly. Now here's a word of caution for you, and I'm talking to you sellers. Do not go with listing agents who are going to tell you dreamy numbers that you want to hear. In fact, if you're telling them your number and they're fighting back hard, listen, because you've probably got an honest opinion and an honest agent. If they're basing their list price on the last 6 months of sales in your neighborhood, you're already behind. That was yesterday's market. As you may know, I work with a ton of buyers, and this is what I'm seeing and hearing from listing agents every day after showing homes. They say, are they at all interested? My seller is very motivated. Just have them make an offer. We're planning on lowering the price. You can hear the desperation. But how they ended up chasing the market down is because they started too high. We'll just leave room for negotiation. That's what they say, but no, buyers pass because they were highly overpriced. No, we won't counter that low ball offer. Now a beautiful home has been sitting for months, and suddenly a great home like that has a stigma. And in the end, you'll end up selling for less than you ever imagined. Now here's another example of where the market is right now and how it affects both buyers and sellers. I just had a client call me and say, Rob, I really want to buy. He got all excited about this brand new house he saw, and they were giving him a great deal. And he wants to upgrade from the tract builder that he bought before he met me just a few years back. I believe it was the fall of 2023. So he put in all these upgrades and he bought it for $435,000, and he wants to sell it immediately. And he admits the market has gone down. He'd take $400,000. Well, guess what? That house is now only worth $375,000 in today's market. So the dilemma is bigger than most people realize. You're getting deals when you buy, but not when you sell. And right now, we're not appreciating. We're flat. And how do you know when the market has hit bottom? You don't. You only know after the fact when it starts to rise. Now, if you're buying, this is the healthiest environment we've seen in years. Look at new construction. New homes are one of my specialties, so reach out to make sure you're getting all you really can. Remember, their salespeople work for the builders, not you. And negotiation is key here, just as much as the resale market. So go in represented. Compare payments, not just prices. And don't assume list price is the final. If you're selling, you're competing with builders, and that means pricing matters more, presentation matters more, and flexibility matters more than it did a few years ago. That doesn't mean that the market is collapsing. Sarasota will always be highly desired, but it means you are in stiff competition with other homes. Pricing it right from the very start matters today more than it ever did. To sum it all up, inventory is up, prices, especially condos, have softened, negotiation is king, and builders are offering financing that most resale sellers simply can't match. If you're thinking about buying, selling, or relocating anywhere here along the Florida Suncoast and want a custom breakdown of neighborhoods or just options, reach out anytime. I'm just a quick text, email, or phone call away. For living and buying in Sarasota, I'm Rob Rovnak. I'll see you on the next one. Bye for now.